I don't think I featured this ship when it first came out, but I've got a game in it for you today. Hello, I am Xarkun, and this is World of Warships Legends. Today, on the North map, we are in the Tier 5 Premium Soviet Light Cruiser, the Makarov, also known as the Communist Nurnberg. This ship is, in fact, the Nurnberg. After World War II, when it was given to the Soviets as a war prize, they sort of refitted it, gave it some more anti-aircraft firepower at the expense of torpedoes. They removed 2 of the triple torpedo launchers, so the Makarov only has 6 torpedoes in 1 triple launcher on either side of the ship, so torpedo power is drastically reduced. But at the same time, it does have a little bit of extra gun range, and it continues to share certain characteristics of the original Nuremberg in that its turrets at the back of the ship rotate 360 degrees, which is quite nice, especially given the fact that the turret traverse is a little bit slow. So I don't really have anything much to say on the ship by way of a review. I think it's a little too late for that since the ship came out a while ago, but this is a game I've been holding on to. I might have used it as a review in the past, but I just got caught up doing too many other things. All I will really say about the ship is that I kind of like it. I don't particularly care for the Nuremberg, or at least I didn't, but after playing this ship, I like that ship quite a bit more. If you want a premium version of the Nuremberg with less torpedo power, more AA power, and a little bit longer range, then this is a great ship. It also retains the German characteristics of high explosive shells that get the quarter penetration. So instead of the 1/6 penetration that you get on most high explosive shells, you get the quarter pen here, which means you don't have to use equilibrium of power on Kuznetsov or Makarov or whichever Russian cruiser commander you want to use in order to get more penetration. The penetration is already built in, and the AP is quite nice. I think we're going to see that a little bit later. But for now, we notice all of these enemy ships sort of rushing for the Alpha Cap. The majority of our team is here. We've got 5 ships, myself, a destroyer, another cruiser, and 2 battleships. And unfortunately, 2 cruisers have already gone down, I think on the other side of the map, or maybe on this one. So things aren't looking good to start off with. And we have lost a fair amount of hit points, about, I'd say about a third of our hit points, maybe a little bit more here, which is not great. And we've only done 7,000 damage in return. But we are racking up the Defender ribbons, which is going to contribute to a nice chunk of XP at the end of this game, regardless of whether we win or lose. A destroyer note is spotted over there to the left of the screen by the friendly destroyer. Excuse me, I don't know what happened to my voice there. And we aren't taking the opportunity to shoot at him, which we probably should be doing. Instead, we are going after the Ismail here, and you can see the effect of this quarter penetration HE on the Ismail. The Alpha Strike is not all that impressive, characteristic that this ship shares with the German cruisers, since after all, it is a German cruiser. It's just under the hammer and sickle banner of the Soviet nation. Anyway, we're getting some penetration damage on that Ismail, which is nice. Even though the Alpha Strike is less than overwhelming, let's just say, at least you can reliably expect to get little chunks of damage here and there when you fire these shells, at least more so than you would get in other Tier 5 cruisers not running equilibrium of power. And then, of course, there are always the fires, which are nice. Hopefully we can get that Ismail to cycle through some of his damage controls, but at this point, this flank of the map is basically lost, and we're being forced to retreat. The friendly destroyer has gone down, leaving the enemy destroyer alive, and of course there are 2 battleships sailing broadside to that Ismail and whatever else is out there, and they've got the destroyer to contend with. He might be in the Alpha Cap. He's probably sending torpedoes their way. Plus, we've got a New Mexico approaching from the other side of the map, which is going to catch our teammates in a hopeless crossfire. And frankly, things are going rapidly downhill, so there aren't a lot of good choices to make, I don't think. So the choice I make is to try and impede the progress of this New Mexico. Now, it's not like he's barreling down this way at high speeds. He is, after all, New Mexico, and they aren't known for their speed. Nevertheless, we want to hinder his progress so that he can't get into a position to impose a crossfire on my two battleship teammates over there, who already have enough to deal with in the form of 3 cruisers and a destroyer harassing them. Out pops an Aoba as well. He's shooting the high explosive at us. We've got a rock between ourselves and the New Mexico, which should provide us a little bit of shielding, taking some pot shots from somebody over somewhere, but that's not something we can worry about right now. Torpedoes coming in as well. Seems like there is an enemy destroyer in the Bravo cap, which is not great. We're going to have to pursue this Aoba, get him off the board, and after that, hopefully we can resume focus on that New Mexico, who I think is still behind that island. And because of our positioning, we are protected from him. We've limited the amount of ships that can shoot at us to only this Aoba, and that is going to help us survive this encounter. You want to pay attention to your positioning like that whenever possible. We smack the Aoba's citadel there. We're able to take him down as he turns broadside, and here is the New Mexico. Gonna have to pull back on this throttle. We certainly don't want to come out broadside to this guy and get wrecked. Like the Nurnberg, the Makarov can blow up from the AP of battleships quite easily. It's certainly a fun ship to shoot at, like the Nurnberg, if you are in a Tier 5 battleship and happen upon one in a game. So we beach ourselves on the rock in order to keep ourselves shielded from the New Mexico's guns, which were pointed our way in anticipation of blowing us out of the water. We're going to deny him that ability, and we're going to try to line up our torpedo launchers for a torpedo strikes as he comes around this rock. He's being pursued by a friendly destroyer who is trying to torpedo him. I think this is a little bit of an act of desperation and perhaps an unnecessary one. At least the ship count on the teams is pretty even now. We do need to take out this New Mexico ideally, and then that destroyer needs to still be alive so that he can get into the Bravo cap. If that is possible to him, then there is a shot that we could win this game. Now, the New Mexico's slow progress is making it a little bit slow to get these torpedoes on target, but he is moving around the corner of the island here. We want to make sure we launch these torpedoes and then get out of the way. We don't want to be right in front of this New Mexico's guns should he turn them to shoot at us. Looks like he's going to continue making a little bit of a turn, so we send the torpedoes out that way, and unfortunately, I believe they're going to miss. That destroyer of ours is still hot on the New Mexico's heels. It's a Jaguar, whatever they're called. He hasn't lost a lot of hit points, which is interesting for this kind of situation, but the enemy Jaguar appears and begins shooting at the friendly one, so we're going to have to try to help him out by shooting at this destroyer. You can see that these high explosive shells have absolutely no problem penetrating the hull of this destroyer, but take a look at the number of hits. We had 5 shells hit on that first salvo, 4 on the second, 8 on this one, and this guy is still very much alive. Again, the alpha strike on these HE shells is pretty low. Nevertheless, we net the high caliber medal there with that shot on the enemy destroyer, and we're able to take him out in the span of a few salvos. I think a couple other Tier 5 cruisers could have done the same job a lot more efficiently with a lot less shells, but it is what it is. That New Mexico is still alive. The friendly destroyer has thus far failed to kill him, but the New Mexico is barely alive. So he's got pretty thin armor everywhere except for the armor belt. Every shot we take at him with the high explosive, as long as it misses the armor belt, is not going to shatter. although it looks like his hull's pretty saturated. Nevertheless, we're able to finish him off for our third kill of the game, up to 95,000 damage now, and it is 4 versus 3. Still a winnable game, but the enemy destroyer is the key to this. So we're going out with the intent to try to find him. I think he was last spotted over there by Alpha, which may make things a little bit difficult. But the Makarov, not exactly the most concealed cruiser in the game. 11.6 kilometer detectability. And there is a Pensacola right there, which is actually quite terrifying should he choose to shoot the armor piercing at me, which he does. And as you can see, the Pensacola's armor piercing versus light cruisers at this tier, even other ships, even heavy cruisers and battleships, it's nothing to scoff at. It's actually very terrifying, and now we don't have a lot of hit points left at all, so we're going to have to be quite careful. Turning around now as some of our teammates enter the Alpha cap and try to flip that, I'm worried that their progress is going to be stalled by wherever the enemy destroyer is. But in addition to the Pensacola, there was a Budiani, which is something that I am potentially a little bit more confident in shooting at with my state of such low HP. At least I think I'll have a better chance against the Budiani than I will the Pensacola, particularly since the Budiani seems to be aware that my battleship teammates are in or near the Alpha cap, and it looks like he's going around that island in pursuit of them, which means hopefully he's going to give me a nice juicy broadside. And it's not quite a nice juicy broadside, but we take the shot anyway as we run into one of our teammates that we absolutely did not notice there. Good thing that we were not spotted at the time, otherwise that might have ended poorly. The Budiani elects to shoot at us, which makes sense since we have the least amount of HP, but immediately after that he opens up on the friendly battleship. We're switching back to the high explosive now that he is angled, hoping to chip away at his health and take him down. Now I can't tell, it looked to me like maybe the friendly battleship was shooting the high explosive at the Budiani, which is not advisable, so things don't bode particularly well. And then, of course, we do see torpedoes there on the screen going through the Alpha cap. The destroyer has free reign against those battleships over there, and there's just nothing we can do to get to them and come to their aid at this point, not with the amount of health we've lost. But the point situation is back into a very close game. It's 5:15 to 5:43, but the Pensacola is capturing the Charlie cap, and if he takes that, well, then I think it's almost a guarantee we're going to lose. So even though I don't have many hit points left, I felt like the best thing I could do with my remaining little bits of life was to come over to this Charlie cap and try to stop the Pensacola from taking it. Of course, he's probably hidden behind that island where I can't see him, and the cap is 3/4 taken right now, so it doesn't look like I'm actually going to get there in time. And just as I say that, one of the enemy ships finishes off a battleship. We're spotted by the Budiani, which is not good. The Pensacola takes Charlie, and at this point, I think the ship has sailed, the fat lady has sung, the game is lost. And as we turn to shoot at the Budiani, we give broadside to the Pensacola. But we've got the AP chambered, the Pensacola misses. We actually get 3 ricochets off the Budiani, who is apparently a lot more angled than he appears to be, or at least more angled than I thought he was. He's rushing that battleship, he's probably going to go down. Pensacola, you can see the slow turret traverse at play here. This is why I say turret traverse is important on cruisers. Cuts down on your DPM. If I had faster turrets, they would have been on target against this Pensacola faster, and I would have been able to do damage to him more quickly. In any case, the Pensacola is shooting the armor piercing at us. We really are not going to be able to withstand any more of his salvos, but he doesn't get the chance. The Budiani takes us out, as we get the Confederate medal and we lose the game in the dying 30 seconds of the match. Now, my thoughts on the Makarov, though, in this game, I like it. I think this is an interesting ship. I don't think it's a bad one. If you like the Russian cruiser-style gameplay, then this is an outlier, because it's a German ship under the Russian banner, and also it doesn't require you to use equilibrium of power to get good penetration out of the high explosive, so you can get great HE penetration and a nice fire chance as well with this ship. I think it's a pretty solid Tier 5 cruiser, and I do enjoy it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, give it a thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching, and I will, of course, see you next time. Goodbye.